Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. In this lecture, we will discuss breeding and quality of poultry, factors that affect the chemical composition of muscles, its structure and metabolism, and the mechanisms involved in turning muscle into meat. Impact of breeding factors like age, genotype, sex, rearing conditions on the sensory and processing attributes of the meat. Production of best quality poultry meat depends on the control of breeding and slaughter related parameters. First, we will discuss age. In practice, animals selected for increased growth rate are slaughtered at a younger age. The effect of age at slaughter have focused mainly on the sensory attributes of the meat in relation to the physicochemical characteristics of muscles. Increasing the slaughter age for broilers increase the protein content of the breast and thigh meat, but the lipid fraction of muscles are more equivocal. Lipid increases continuously in the chicken breast and thigh muscles from 6 to 22 weeks of age. Changes in the property of collagen muscles molecules are likely to affect the tenderness and juiciness of the chicken meat, which generally decrease as the bird becomes older. Tough breast meat can be associated with the less organized distribution of muscle fibers and the presence of large round fibers clustered in groups. Fiber diameter increase considerably with the advancing age. In case of duck, tenderness and juiciness also decrease with the advancing age, along with the ultimate pH and water holding capacity increased drip losses of the breast muscles. The lowest degree of tenderness in duck breast muscle is likely to be related to an increase in the fiber size. Increasing the age of the slaughter also enhances the meat flavor and odor in the broiler chicken and ducks, especially for the dark meat. Maximum flavor being found during the sexual maturation of the broilers. Changes in the lipid fraction such as variation in the phospholipids and fatty acid composition increasing age also associated with the dark breast meat color in the broilers. In the same way, breast meat of the duck becomes significantly redder and darker with the advancing age, which is likely consequence of the increase in heme iron content of the muscle. Obviously, the sensory quality of meat is closely related to the bird age at slaughter time. Commercial selection of growth rate has led to the birds being less mature, with the meat that is generally more tender and juicy but with less intense flavor. However, the impact of such changes on the global acceptability of the product is not straightforward, and preferences are directly linked to the eating habits of the consumer. Older birds have had greater global acceptability mainly because of the more intense flavor and firmness of their meat. Japanese consumers prefer meat from the younger chicken because of its extreme tenderness. Genotype, effect of genetic makeup on eating properties of the meat. Among the broilers of similar age, it appears that dark meat from large birds had a more intense flavor, was more tender, and exhibited a higher overall acceptability score than that from the smaller birds, which suggests that the broiler size, that is, the growth rate, can affect the sensory attribute of the meat. Carcass fatness, which at a given age is much greater in modern broilers, only explains a small part of the difference between bird strain in the dark meat flavor, tenderness, and juiciness. Carcass fatness accounted for only a small portion of the variation observed in the sensory traits. Since 1970s, the poultry selection has led to an increased breast meat yield and reduced carcass fatness. Carcass fatness in broiler has been reduced with the little corresponding effect on the eating quality of that meat. This could be due to partly to the fact that reducing the amount of abdominal fat barely affects the lipid content of the muscles. Only the fat between thigh and drumstick muscles are reduced in the lean broiler. No evidences are available concerning the specific effect of increasing muscle yield on the sensory traits of the breast meat. Structural changes in the muscle associated with the increased muscle development will at least affect the textural properties of the breast meat. In case of duck, selection of growth rate alters the chemical composition of the breast meat by increasing the protein and decreasing the total amount of collagen without affecting its solubility. Selection for meat yield and against fatness significantly reduce the lipid content of the breast muscle and increase its light color. Effects of technological traits of meat. Recently, the technological traits of broiler breast meat have been considered in relation to the muscle development. Increased breast meat yield and reduced abdominal fat was associated with the breast meat that was lighter in color and exhibit a lower drip loss. The breast meat shows a lower rate of decline in pH post-mortem and a higher ultimate pH, which were consistent with the lower reserves of the muscle glycogen in the birds. It also confirms that considerable effect of the ultimate pH on the light color of the meat with increases as ultimate pH decreases. In breast meat, lightness and darkness would be more likely to arise from the differences in the heme pigment content. Breast meat from a commercial heavy line of turkey was also lighter in color than from less selected genotype. There are some evidence that paleness of the breast meat could be a consequence of combination of the accelerated rigor mortis and high muscle temperature after slaughter, which typically cause protein denaturation leading to soft, pale and exudative meat with poor functionality. Development of pale, soft and exudative meat during heat stress in strains selected for large breast yield than in those selected for rapid and overall growth. Post-mortem pH falls was more rapid in breast of fast-growing birds. The rate of rigor mortis as well as the water holding capacity and the occurrence of the typical muscle lions associated with the pale, soft exudative like syndrome vary among strains but are not related to the bird growth performance. The post-mortem pH value of muscle contribute to the technological properties of the breast meat. Changes in muscle fiber type might be expected to alter the meat quality. In poultry, selection of growth performance or increased breast meat yield do not markedly affect the type of the muscle fiber present. By contrast, increased growth performance and breast meat yield in commercial broiler and turkey genotype coincided with the increase in muscle fiber diameter. The consequence of such structural changes on the sensory and processing quality of the meat have not yet received much attention, and fiber hypertrophy brought about the selection can affect the quality of the meat. Estimates of the genetic parameters of the processing quality of the poultry meat. The technological characteristics